We good to go? All right. Well, take two. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming and covering Halifax International Security Forum. Thank you for coming to the closing press conference. This year we marked the 10th anniversary of the forum, and as I said in my opening remarks, we also marked the 100th anniversary of the close of World War I. There are two important things that I want to note that came out of this year's forum, that we did at this year's forum. The first was the inaugural John McCain Prize for Leadership in Public Service, awarded by Cindy McCain to the people of the island of Lesbos, Greece, for their heroic actions to save refugees and welcome them into their community. The forum has always stood for the values of strong and courageous leadership in defense of democracy and human rights, and Senator John McCain had been a participant here every year. We are honored to host this annual prize bearing his name. We hope this prize, we are confident this prize will inspire others to take action to hold up and defend human dignity, just as the people of Lesbos have done. Excuse me. Secondly, I was very proud to welcome to the forum the inaugural class of the Peace with Women Fellows, 7 senior officers from Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Norway, Germany, Albania, and the United States, participated in a 3-week executive tour that concluded here in Halifax. This ambitious program is designed to advance women's leadership in security and build a network of women leaders among militaries. This year, Halifax International Security Forum brought our conversations to the broader community like never before. Our plenary panels were live streamed around the world through our website, Facebook Live, and on Twitter. We also held our 2nd annual public panel discussion with St. Mary's and Dalhousie Universities on Thursday evening. Of course, the forum would not be possible without the terrific hospitality of the people of Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'd like to express my sincere thanks once again to the Government of Canada, to the Department of National Defence, to the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, and to Minister Harjit Sajjan for his commitment to the Halifax International Security Forum. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Yes, please.
Sir, thank you. Joe Gould from Defense News.
Hi, Joe.
Thanks for hosting us here at this event this year. You were speaking about John McCain, and it's clear that he cast a long shadow here. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about. Oh, thank you. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the contrast between the American showing this year, the large congressional delegation this year versus last year. And we heard quite a bit from the delegation about their message, which was that the participants here should be paying attention to the policy and not the rhetoric. But I'm wondering if there's a contrast there between what they were saying and the way that participants here are receiving. What was the feedback to the United States about that message?
Last year, we've always had a very strong congressional delegation here. In fact, to be perfectly frank, more United States members of Congress come to Canada as a result of Halifax International Security Forum than for any other reason. More than that, Halifax International Security Forum attracts top American leaders more than any other international event in the world. So that's an important thing that we're very, very proud of. Last year was an aberration. Senator McCain was scheduled to lead the delegation and became sick. And even after becoming sick, he was still going to lead the delegation. It was only about 10 days before the forum that he fell on the floor of the Senate and ripped his Achilles heel, which prevented him from coming, and that's why we had a small delegation last year. And so we expect that the delegation to Halifax International Security Forum will continue with John McCain's legacy to be a significant contribution to Canadian-American relations. But frankly, as we have representatives from over 70 countries, it's a very, very good opportunity to get to your next point, to get an understanding of what American leaders are thinking about and what they're dealing with. The United States, like all democracies, does not have one single center of power. And so I think it's very important, as I said in my opening remarks, for Canadians, but also for the representatives who came here from over 70 countries to hear what is going on and what other American leaders, both political leaders and military leaders and American experts. So there were close to 100 Americans at this venue, and so I think the participants who were here all went away with a much better understanding of what's going on in Washington, D.C. and in the United States.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, please.
Steve Levine.
Hi, Steve.
There's a mic there.
After your impression when you started this this year, and then now at this moment, 3 days later, the challenge to the advanced economies, which has been the main theme this year. After the 3 days, is it greater than you thought? Is it going to get broader before it gets narrower?
Thanks, Steve. It's good to see you here. Welcome to Halifax. As I said in my opening remarks, I think it's very important for policymakers and decision makers to take the issues, to first of all understand the issues that allow populists to thrive and to address them head on. And I think, as I said in my opening remarks, only then will we be able to drive populists into the shadows where they belong. And I do think that after coming away after this weekend, I'm actually reassured that that politicians are leaders, are both political, but also experts, technocrats, and others are beginning to understand that a lot of the issues that the populists have addressed and taken on as their own have to be addressed in a more responsible way as well. And so I actually feel more reassured coming out of these 3 days than I did going into these 3 days. So thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Next question.
There's got to be more. Yeah.
Yes, please. Second row.
So keep going. Eventually I'll make news.
Stu Magnuson, National Defense Magazine.
Hi, Stu.
What are some of those issues, and top three maybe? And can you kind of address the America First issue and seeming withdrawal from some of the, negative words coming out of the White House about some of these institutions, NATO, UN, so on?
Yeah. We did a panel yesterday called Flooding Borders, Failing States. Failing States, Flooding Borders. And I do think, and our polling suggests, we do polling, that issues related to migration, immigration, are real issues that citizens of advanced economies are concerned with. And I think that there is, because refugees actually enhance a population and create opportunities, that has to be explained, and there's actually a good narrative to tell, rather than a different fear-oriented narrative that a lot of populists are making. And I think that, so for example, when I was growing up, there was a poster on my school that said, simply, it was a beautiful picture of Albert Einstein, and it said, Einstein was a refugee. And I do think that the story of what refugees add to communities is something that needs to be told and enhance our communities. But what's happened for a period now is that populists have taken the narrative of fear. So I think that's one example, I think, where I think I'm hopeful that there's going to be a change in narrative, and that some of the positive stories can be enhanced.
Chris?
Chris Hall from the CBC.
Hi, Chris.
One of the things that people tell us at this forum is that it's prescient in ways. It helps to identify issues that will be first and foremost on leaders' minds over the next year or so. And I'm wondering, as you look back at this session, how it will prepare you for the next one. What is coming out of this that people who watch and read what we do here, what they should take away from that?
Chris, it's great to see you here. Thank you for being here. If you look at that program that you have, we actually have in it, we have the agendas from the last 10 years. And if you look at them closely, you can watch, because we started in Obama's first year in office, and it goes through and you can see how issues have been addressed over 10 years now. It's just something remarkable to go back to. And I will tell you that it's interesting because this year, unlike past years where we've talked largely about external threats, we've talked about, in past years, we've talked about Russia, we've talked about China, we've talked about Iran, we've talked about North Korea. We've talked a lot about terrorism over the past 10 years. The conversation now is about ourselves and looking at ourselves and figuring out how to protect our own democracies. And I do think that over the next year, and over, I'd say for the next little while, that is going to be a pressing issue, that getting our own politics right is going to be fundamental. I don't want to draw any stark conclusions, but the interwar period, we had a video that opened off, and the last line in the video is, which fascism didn't rise in the 1930s because it was strong. It rose because democracy was weak. And I think that is, I'm not exactly sure who made that quote. It's not mine, so I'm borrowing it. But it is something for all. I think all of us now in our societies, in our communities, are beginning to understand that these are urgent issues and something that has to really be looked at.
We have time for one more question. Thank you all very much.
Okay, now I will do it, and I'll do it all over again in another language. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. And thank you for being here.